There are a lot of decisions that you need to make when it comes to homeschooling. When you add bilingual homeschooling on top of that, you bring a lot more decisions into the mix. I'm Sarah of My Home, Your Home, Our Home, and my family has chosen to homeschool bilingually in Portuguese and English. Today I'm sharing with you all of the things that I think are important considerations for homeschooling bilingually. First of all, at the beginning of this video, I just want to say welcome. If you are new to the world of homeschooling or bilingual homeschooling, then you are more than welcome here. I'm so glad that you found this video today, and I want to invite you to subscribe and hit the bell notification because I am covering the topic of bilingual homeschooling in so many videos coming up, including top curriculum picks for homeschooling preschool bilingually. So you have decided to homeschool bilingually, or you're at least considering it. What are the things that you should think about before you begin? Let's start from the top. The first thing on our list that you should consider is your own language abilities. Consider, what is your situation? What are your abilities? And if you don't speak another language, are you willing to learn along with your children? Your abilities in language affect so many other aspects that will be on this list, and I want to really highlight that for you, that recognizing your own strengths and weaknesses or your own tools that are in your tool belt already can help you to make a lot of other decisions, make a lot of the other decisions so much easier. The second thing on this list to consider is your environment. Are you living in another country or another culture that speaks another language? Is this the language that you're going to teach in your homeschool? Or do you live in your home country surrounded by, for example, English all the time, and you want to teach Spanish, or you want to teach Portuguese or Russian or Italian, and you don't have a lot of that surrounding you? This is going to affect so many of the focuses on this list as well. And just like your language ability, if your environment doesn't really have another language mixed into it already, then there are going to be some other things that you'll want to do to make up for that lack of surrounding and immersion in the language. Third, think about your child's language abilities. Has your child been exposed to this other language already? Do they already have a speaking comprehension, listening comprehension of this language that is a good foundation for them? Are they going to be just starting learning? This will affect the curriculum choices you use, your approach, where you start in this whole homeschooling journey. If your child has just a very basic understanding of the language, then you're going to want to start with very basic things. But if your child has a more advanced understanding of the language, or they're an older child perhaps and have been exposed to the language for a long time, then your curriculum choices will be different, the way that you approach this will be different. Next, think about your time constraints. Are you able to do homeschooling all day long? Does your homeschooling fit only after your work in the evenings or on the weekends? Are you in a home family where one spouse speaks one language and the other speaks another language, and so you need to coordinate times between you? You have to think of all of these things when you think of how much homeschooling hours you're going to get in each week, or how you're going to approach your homeschooling activities. For example, in my family, my husband works at an international school, and right now my boys are both too young to go to the international school during the day, so they're at home with me, and I will be homeschooling them for preschool and kindergarten. And as part of that, I will be doing English and trying to do Portuguese, but the main part of their Portuguese will come from my husband when he gets home at night and teaches them after work and on the weekends. We need to be aware of that right now our time constraints are more of an all-day thing, with the evenings and weekends being focused on Portuguese more intensely, and then when they get older, it will change a bit and we'll have to find a new rhythm and routine to that. What are your time constraints? What do you have to work with for this? Think about your support groups. Are there people around you who speak one of these languages? Are there people around you who are able to support you with resources? People who have activity groups or a homeschool co-op that you can turn to for classes or advice or other people's experiences? Plugging into support groups is a really important part of keeping your morale up and your encouragement that you need for homeschooling bilingually. As a follow-up to that, think of your extracurricular opportunities for your child. Are there classes that they can take in one of your target languages, one of the languages you want to teach them in your homeschooling? If so, what classes or activities or sports could you enroll them in? The last two things on this list are probably some of the most important things on this list, but I've saved them for last. Think about your goals. Why are you wanting your children to learn 2 languages or more. Why? Define that goal for yourself, for your family, maybe even write it down. Also, why do you want to homeschool them? And why do you want to homeschool them bilingually? Do you want them in the future to have certain outcomes? And when you think about your goals, don't think about these are my requirements of my children in the future, but think about what are your goals for you, why, and your kids for now. Why do you want this to happen within your homeschool? Why do you want bilingual homeschooling to be part of your family? Also, as part of your goals, think of what is important to you. Is it important that each language is taught equally in all subjects, or is it more important that some subjects are taught in one language and some in the other? Are you planning on dividing up your homeschool so that you have certain days in, for example, Portuguese and certain days in English? This is part of your goals as well. What things are important to you? Think about all your values wrapped up in this. What do you want to see in your children, that they're able to do science in English and literature in Portuguese? What of both languages? There are so many different options here. And last on our list, but definitely one of the most important things also, is your theory of education. If you haven't yet defined your theory of education, or you're completely new to the homeschooling space or to education in general, then you probably are a little bit overwhelmed with all of these terms flying around. Charlotte Mason, traditional, classical, unschooling. There are so many theories of pedagogy out there, and exploring the options is a great idea so that you can find out what kind of approach you want to take to bilingual homeschooling. Here are some examples that might help you think about how this really does impact your practical choices within your homeschool. If you are taking a traditional approach to homeschooling, then probably you're going to want to use a lot of workbooks, a lot of textbooks. So you're going to want to find textbooks that are bilingual or a textbook in each language. If you're going at this from the approach of classical education, then you're going to approach it from different developmental stages. I will confess that I'm not super familiar with classical education, but I do realize that one of the first beginning stages is memorization of a lot of different facts. And so you're going to want to, in this stage, probably teach a whole lot of vocabulary, a whole lot of phrases, and a lot of different things that later you will build on. For Charlotte Mason, you'll probably take a more natural approach, meaning that you're going to probably go out into nature and use a lot of opportunities of nature and a more gentle approach to things. With unschooling, you're probably not going to buy curriculum at all, and you're probably just going to expose your child to different opportunities in real life to learn these languages. And there are other options too, where you might not fit into any one of these categories. You might do a mixture of them. What is your theory of education? What do you believe about it? And so that will affect your approach to homeschooling. For us as a family, I love Charlotte Mason, and I also love classical education, which maybe you can't tell by my lack of knowledge about a lot of things of it. But I do like those two in kind of a combination. But with bilingual homeschooling, one of my biggest values is actually literature-based education. And I plan on making a video all about that and why I think it's so important, but suffice it to say here that I am an English education teacher and I have taught literature, and I know how powerful it is for actually teaching a language and giving us not only mechanics of a language, but also the thought processes and culture behind the language. Literature has the power to teach us not only the grammar and mechanics of a language, but also the flow of the language, the culture behind the language, and the stories of that culture. These are all things that we have considered as we've chosen to homeschool our family bilingually. If you think of other things that people should consider before beginning this journey or while they are homeschooling, then please drop your comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification. Soon I'll be coming out with my top curriculum picks for 2022 to 2023 for preschool. And I just have not been able to do that yet because we are in the midst of a major move and our books are in another country. So when we get to those books, I'm going to make a video as soon as possible just to describe to you how my thought process through all of these considerations translates into practical curriculum choices. I have made a video about why we chose to homeschool bilingually. If you haven't watched it yet, head over there. I will put it right here and I will see you there. Nice to talk to you today, guys, and I will see you soon. Love you. Ciao.